Well, it really depends on Rivers' health, because rumor has it he can't remember even all his kids' names.
Hey, it's Big Ryan, the fat guy, coming to you with the Week 11 picks. First, let's take a look at last week's picks, though. Big fat guy.
It's fat guy. I mean, did I get heavier?
Hey, there's always a possibility. Let's hear how you... Well,
let's get a sentence out first. How about that one?
How do you feel about Week 10? Talk about our Week 10 picks.
Well, I'm not happy. Went 7-7, but all the big boys with the butter, not so good. Buffalo Bills, not so good. Denver Broncos, not so good. Chicago Bears, not so good. Atlanta Falcons, good. So there's that. I think we can do better. That's why we're looking forward. And here comes Week 11.
Talk about that Browns game. Could they have messed that up any worse at the end of the half?
I'm trying not to relive it. That's why I said Week 11. That Browns game made me more upset. By the way, I'm a Browns fan. I will disclose that. That's probably why we pick them every week. But they really should have won this game. I purposely took Carolina in my Survivor, and everyone took Detroit. And right when you need the Browns to do something, they'll let you down again. And at the end of half, they decided to run a sneak with no timeouts and like 10, 15 seconds left. That was a great idea when it didn't work out. And then they give up 2 touchdowns to lose the cover at the end of the game. Throw an interception on with 1 minute left in the game and no timeouts. Just a standard Browns performance. Right when they think they're going to do well, they don't. And they blew a 10-point lead.
Yeah, I agree. It was unsettling, to be sure. So let's start off with the Thursday night game. The Tennessee Titans travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The opening line was 6.5-point favorites for Pittsburgh. It's currently at 7. And if we were to look at the consensus, what most people would think, they have them around 8-point favorites. And right now the percentages are quite even. It's pretty much a 50-50 split. Exactly, it is Tennessee at 47% and Pittsburgh at 53%. Fat guy, who do you like in this game?
It's another one. I'm not too jazzed about this game. No one's really looking forward to it. Pittsburgh's underwhelming considering all the plethora of talent they have on offense. Easy rider, the motorcycle enthusiast Ben Roethlisberger at the helm. He's kind of in a bit of a decline. 7 points just seems like a lot. They got really lucky to close out a win against Indianapolis last week. They just really haven't looked that ferocious, that dangerous this year. So a touchdown, short week. I'll take the Titans.
Yeah, interesting facts of these games is Pittsburgh's lost Joe Hayden for a few weeks. He'll be out this game, so that could be troublesome for their secondary. Both teams are coming off wins, so there's nothing really there. Travel is fairly limited. It's a 1 hour time zone difference for Tennessee traveling to the Eastern time zone to play in Pittsburgh. So not too much going on in this game. Percentages are fairly even, so it's really one that we would never bet.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have a couple beers at the bar or the local watering hole on Thursday. Yeah, I'd just say take the Titans, but other than that, it seems kind of chalky.
So let's start off now with the Sunday early games. One game that I'm sure we're both gonna like is Detroit traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. The line opened as 3-point favorites for the road Detroit Lions, and it stayed there. The consensus would be 1.5-point favorites for the home Chicago Bears. Currently, 83% of people are betting the Detroit Lions as minus 3-point favorites on the road. Only 17% like Chicago after that tough game, and that could be a big factor for us when Chicago has just lost a big home divisional game to the Green Bay Packers, and Detroit just laid the smackdown on the Browns like we talked about earlier. And this is a divisional game between Detroit and Chicago, and it's their first divisional game of the year. Between each other, I should say.
Yeah, clarification's a good thing. But I'm all over the Bears here. Big time all over the Bears. They did not have a good game against the Packers, but I have faith in this coaching staff. And that being said, the Lions didn't look good against the Browns, and that's the Browns. There's something to be said for that. I think the Bears defense steps it up a touch. I think Jordan Howard's best games are ahead of him. I'm all over the Bears. All over the Bears. Like the Bills last week, it's big-time Bears this week.
Big time Bears is right. This game has pretty much everything going for it as far as the percentages. The line is excellent. That's an excellent price to get for a underdog.
A home dog.
A home dog.
Divisional
game. It is excellent. 83% of people are taking Detroit. This is an excellent scenario to be taking the Chicago Bears. Next game up is Kansas City traveling to New York to take on the lowly Giants. The line opened as high as 13.5 point favorites for Kansas City. It's been bet down to 10.5. The public consensus would be 7-point favorites for the Chiefs. And right now, everybody's on the Chiefs. It's 79% on the Chiefs, 21% on the Giants. One big thing to consider for this game, Fat Guy, is that the Chiefs are coming off a bye, and Andy Reid is infamous for his buys.
Well, I'm not circling the Giants to win here, but this is a classic Kansas City shuffle. When everyone shuffles left, you shuffle right. And by shuffling right, take the Giants here. 10.5 at home for of the most disappointing, miserable teams in the league. Again, not a favorite, but every time I get double-digit points at home, then I'm just going to put my money in.
Next game up is Tampa Bay traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Very minimal travel, both Florida teams. Miami opened as 3-point favorites. They've been bet down to 1.5. You'd have to think that's over Tampa Bay winning against the Jets and then Miami losing badly on Monday night to Carolina for everybody to see. Key factors in this game are Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be playing quarterback for the Bucs. How do you feel about this game? Also, I should mention, Tampa Bay is 79% of people are betting them at plus 1.5. So the majority of people are betting them. The line's gone down. This might get down to a pick 'em. Maybe 2.5 point favorites for Miami, kind of in that range. How do you feel about this game?
Well, like I said, the one good thing going for Tampa Bay is that Winston isn't playing. I mean, in the long run, that doesn't make sense, but Fitzpatrick is, I don't know, brought maybe a little bit of sparkle to the lowly Bucs, but this week I like the Dolphins. Dolphins got trounced on Monday night, but I don't know, it feels like they're getting better, as weird as that sounds. I like the Dolphins. I'm going to trust Adam Gase to make a win against it. I'm going to trust Adam Gase to pull out a win in a very winnable situation here.
I think Miami has the edge in so many categories. Right now, they're 1.5 point favorites at home. Only 21% of people are betting on them. They have Jay Cutler, which is a negative to most, but I think he's going to be good in this game. Tampa Bay's coming off a pretty good win considering how they've been playing, and Miami just came off a big loss. So a lot of factors here pointing to take Miami.
Well, the Drake is loose. I think Kenyon Drake he's going to finally take the reins. He busted a 60-yard touchdown. Kind of has some big playability to him. They've incorporated Julius Thomas more in this offense, at least attempted to. I just think they're coming together a little bit despite getting annihilated by the Carolina Panthers.
Next game up, the Baltimore Ravens travel to Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Packers have Brett Hundley at quarterback. Currently, 61% of people are betting the Packers at +2, and 39% are on the 2-point road favorite Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is coming off a bye, and Green Bay just came off of a very impressive road victory over the Chicago Bears.
I'm about as enthused for this game as having salad for lunch. It just seems boring. It's, gun to my head, I'm gonna take the Ravens because they have a strong defense, and I just don't trust Brett Hundley. I don't know why, and there's something about it. If nothing against the guy, I just don't trust him.
Interesting facts about Brett Hundley is he had the most turnovers, I believe, coming out of college.
That's true, and I'm hoping that trend continues in the NFL with this game against the Ravens.
Next game up, we have this game is a doozy. The Los Angeles Rams traveling to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams are kind of running hot at the moment.
Very.
The Minnesota Vikings are 2.5 point favorites at home. And 40% of people are taking the Vikings right now. 60% are on the Rams at plus 2.5 point. Road underdogs, I guess you could say. Rams just came off a big win. Minnesota just came off a big win as well. Jared Goff versus Case Keenum. And the Rams do have to travel from the Pacific time zone to the Central time zone, so it's a 2-hour difference for them.
You didn't have to ask me a question first, but anyways. I like the Vikings. I mean, you just said Goff versus Keenum. You think that would be a bad thing? It's been anything but. Keenum was unbelievable last week. He hung 38 on the Redskins. It's not exactly easy to do. It's pretty tough. And the Rams have the most points scored per game in the NFL. This is actually could be an offensive shootout, but when it comes down to defenses, I'll take the Zim Reapers. They're just strong everywhere. Obviously Aaron Donald's of the best players in the league, defensive tackle for the St. Louis Rams, but I really, really like the defense in Minnesota. So Minnesota at home, I'm gonna take them. I like the Vikings.
I sure hope Aaron Donald is not playing for the St. Louis Rams this game, but I'm sure he's going to be great for the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh.
The next game up is Arizona at Houston. Arizona is 1 point road favorites. The Houston Texans +1 at home. Right now, the Cardinals aren't sure who they're going to be playing at quarterback. It looks like Drew Stanton got hurt, and there's still a question mark on who is going to start for them.
Well, like I said earlier about being unenthused for salad for lunch, well, undecided versus Tom Savage, that's really going to sell a pay-per-view fight. This is another game that's not exactly going to be PVR too much across the nation. Gun to my head, I'll just take the Houston because they're at home, but I'm really not jazzed about this barn burner.
Yeah, this is a game. This is a game you just stay away from. You're essentially just flipping a coin picking in this game.
Well, I'll flip the coin that says Texas is the best.
Next game up is Jacksonville traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Jacksonville is currently 7.5 point road favorites. 73% are on Jacksonville, 27% are on Cleveland. Jacksonville just came off an exciting overtime win over the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Browns lost big to Detroit.
Well, the Browns lost big in number by 14, but they were in that game the entire time. The Jags kind of pulled off a bit of a miracle coming back and against the Chargers, the way it shook down those circumstances. Jaguars have definitely showed resiliency. However, though, sounding just ridiculous every week, the Browns, you're getting 7.5 points at home in a game that I actually think is winnable here. A bunch of people are going to take them in Survivor, so I would avoid this as a Survivor pick because it's a good trap game. I like the Browns and the points, and I like a little bit on the money line too. I like the Browns, as usual.
Next up is the Washington Redskins traveling to New Orleans. This should be a good game. Right now, the Saints are 7.5 point favorites at home, and the Redskins 7.5 point underdogs on the road. 33% are on the Redskins, 67% are on the Saints.
Captain Kirk did a pretty good job at attempting to come back in the game against Minnesota. Hanging 30 on the Zim Reapers, that's really tough. New Orleans defense has been a pleasant surprise this year, and one of the better units. They absolutely annihilated my Buffalo Bills on the weekend. The defense looked good. The offense looked even better. The run game was absolutely phenomenal. I'm not sure they're going to have the same type of running success against Washington in this game, but the biggest reason I want to take the Washington Redskins is the points. It's 7.5. It's a number that I just think is just too big. I'm going to hang my hopes on Captain Kirk.
Yeah, the Saints have been riding hot, and Washington, even though it was an impressive game by Kirk Cousins, they are coming off a loss. So Washington's due up, New Orleans is due down. They've been on an impressive streak, but it's going to end sometime soon. Next game up, now we're looking at the Sunday afternoon games. Buffalo traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Right now, the Chargers are undecided at quarterback because Phillip Rivers is injured, I believe, with a concussion, and unsure if he's going to play. Right now, Buffalo is 4-point underdogs on the road. Chargers are 4-point favorites. 57% are on the Bills. 43% are on the Chargers. Fat Guy, what do you think about this game?
Well, it really depends on Rivers' health. Because rumor has it he can't remember even all his kids' names. So if he's not playing, it's hard not to take the Bills. But however, the Bills aren't really a great road team either. I thought they'd be a good home team last year, but apparently that's not the case either. However, though, if Phillip Rivers isn't playing, I much trust the Buffalo Bills and Tyrod Taylor over incumbent Kellen Clevens.
The second afternoon game is Cincinnati at Denver. Right now, Denver's 2.5-point favorites. 71% are on Denver. 29% are on the Bengals. The Bengals and the Broncos both coming off of losses. How do you feel about this game?
I like the Bungles. I mean, they had a lead going late against Tennessee and gave it up. They still covered, though, with a 24-20 road loss to the Titans. I like them on the road here in Denver. I wish I was getting better than 2.5. I was hoping for 3. But, I like the Bengals. Feels like their offense is coming around and their defense is playing up to snuff. Denver could have done a lot of things better in the Sunday Nighter versus New England. I'm not sure they'll clean those up by this game.
Another thing to factor in for this game is Cincinnati being 2.5-point underdogs. It's better to take the money line on the Bengals. It just pays out better long term. Always better
to do it. Because, how often does a team win by 1 or 2? Very, very rarely. I believe it's 14% of games end in a score of 3?
Yeah, it's about 10, 11%.
Yeah, of course I'm hyperbolic, but you can't blame me for that. So most games end in 3 or more.
The final afternoon game is New England traveling to Mexico, along with the Oakland Raiders to take on Oakland in Azteca Stadium. Right now, the line is 7-point favorites for the New England Patriots, and 87% of people are betting the Patriots in Mexico. Fat Guy, how do you feel about this game? Another key factor is Oakland Raiders are coming off of a bye.
Well, those Raiders are all hungry on steroid-infused Mexican beef. I am down with the Raiders. I am down with the Raiders this week.
I'm down with the Raiders as well.
The only thing is we both discussed the Raiders' seemingly never-ending bad defense. I'm not sure they can stop this highfalutin Patriots offense that it seemed to got its stuff together. They're so bad in the secondary, like historically bad. I don't even think they have an interception, which at this juncture is absolutely ridiculous. That being said, I'm still going to put my money on the Raiders. And I think it's like a 200,000 person stadium. Most of them will be in silver and black. Of course, you'll see teams of all colors and some Patriots, but I am down with the Raiders in this preparation. They really are in line to win this game outright.
It's nice for the Raiders coming off this bye because there is a lot of travel for this game. From New England to Azteca Stadium, it's 3,000 miles. It's an 8-hour flight from New England. It's 2,000 miles for the Raiders, so they're no slouches as well. It's only a 4-hour flight for them, but this travel could be troublesome for the Patriots.
Yeah, and they have to lay 7 points. I don't like that either. So let's go with the silver and black. Just win, baby.
Just win. The Sunday night game is going to be an exciting one. The Philadelphia Eagles are traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Right now, the Eagles, surprisingly, even with all the success they've had, are 3.5-point favorites in Dallas. And people love the Eagles. 81% are on the Eagles. Only 19% are taking Dallas at home at plus 3.5. Fat Guy, what does that mean?
That means don't let Adrian Claiborne get 6 sacks against you when you're playing the Atlanta Falcons. Like, that was just pure embarrassment. So I said the Tyron Smith injury is way worse of a loss than anybody, including Ezekiel Elliott. It's a tough pill to swallow. I really like the Cowboys. I really hope Tyron Smith is playing because they have to fix that. Otherwise, it'll be a field day for Philadelphia's defense. But I'm a Cowboys fan this week, and I'm taking the Cowboys in the points.
The only thing that sucks about the Cowboys that might bump it down just a little bit for us is the Philadelphia Eagles are coming off a bye, and Coach Doug Peterson is off the family tree from Andy Reid, so who knows what kind of success he will be able to muster up after this bye. The final game is going to be another exciting one as well. It's a playoff rematch. The Atlanta Falcons travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Currently, the Seahawks are 3-point favorites at home, and only 34% of people are taking the Seahawks. Let me go over a few more facts about this game.
There you go.
So the Seattle is 3-point favorites. 34% of people are betting Seattle. The Atlanta Falcons just came off a big, impressive win over the Dallas Cowboys. Seattle won on Thursday, and they get a little extra rest. Atlanta's having to travel from the Eastern time zone all the way to Seattle. It's a 2,600-mile flight. And another big factor for this game is that it's a revenge game for Seattle, who lost 36-20 in the playoffs last year. Also, another interesting factor is that Dan Quinn, the head coach of Atlanta, is the ex-defensive coordinator for the Seahawks under Pete Carroll. So a lot of factors to consider for this game, and almost all of them point in the direction for Seattle winning, at least covering the spread for us.
Well, covering the spread would mean winning. Like you said, it is a revenge game. That's an interesting point. And that was a revenge game of what happened originally when the Seahawks won with a controversial last play, which is supposed to be a PI apparently, against Julio Jones. But that's all in the past. What's in the future is the Seahawks going to winning this week. I'm not sure how their offense is going to do it. Neither are any of their coaching staff, but they seem to be able to do it every week in the most unlikely and inopportune of ways. I do like their defense to come to life against this. I do like their defense to come to life against the Falcons. I'm not sure if Freeman's going to come back, but I'm not sure Tevin Coleman's going to be able to carry the load against this stout, stingy Seattle defense.
So that's all the games for this week. We're going to do a lightning round, fat guy. Let's start off with the Thursday night game. Tennessee at Pittsburgh. Currently, Pittsburgh is 7-point favorites.
Tennessee in the points.
The next game up is Detroit at Chicago, and Detroit is 3-point road favorites.
Big on the Bears.
The next game up is Kansas City at the Giants. Kansas City is currently 10.5-point road favorites.
Big blue for you.
Tampa Bay at Miami. Miami is 1.5-point favorites.
Dolphins.
Baltimore at Green Bay. Currently, Baltimore is 2-point road favorites.
Ready Ravens.
The Rams travel to Minnesota. Minnesota 2.5-point favorites.
My Vikings.
Arizona at Houston. Arizona is currently 1-point road favorites.
Houston.
Jacksonville at Cleveland. Jacksonville is currently 7.5-point road favorites.
Please, one time for me, Browns. One time.
Washington at New Orleans. New Orleans 7.5-point favorites.
Skins in the points.
Buffalo at the LA Chargers. Currently, the Chargers are 4-point favorites.
The Bills.
Cincinnati at Denver. Denver is currently 2.5-point favorites.
The Bungles.
New England at Oakland, which is technically Mexico City, the pseudo home for Oakland, and currently the Patriots are 7-point road favorites.
Well, thanks for the number for the first time. I'll take Los Raiders.
Philadelphia traveling to Dallas. Currently, Philadelphia is 3.5-point favorites on the road.
I like the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
And finally, the Atlanta Falcons travel to Seattle. Seattle is 3-point favorites.
Yeah. Seahawks.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more Big Ryan the Fat Guy.